right, we said we were going to do another one. It took a little bit, but Shoedogg and Mike back one more time with the latest episode of our podcast. We have got to say this up front. We got some very special sponsorship this week. Sponsored by the Four Seasons Total Landscaping in North Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They are proud Americans who helped us all make Donnie and Rudy Giuliani look like the most pathetic fools on the face of the planet. Thank you, boys.
Nice.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm great, man. I don't think a stand-up comedian alive on Earth could write better material than that landscaping deal.
Not everybody can be the first, but you don't have to be the last. How about we simply thank up front the 75 million and counting Americans who decided to vote him out. Cheers to that. And what was your cheers to there? Or what was your cheers of, I should say?
So I'm going to mispronounce the name, but I think it's called Coquito or something. It's basically like Bacardi with, it's like a wintry Bacardi nutmeg thing. I don't know. It's yummy.
My beverage over here is, I'll let you guess it, Mike. I got to the beer store a little early this year. And I did get the Holiday Classic early this year, and I said I wasn't going to drink it till after Thanksgiving, and well, we're not there yet, but hey, I'm drinking it. What beer do you think I'm drinking?
Well, Weyerbacher's out of business, so I'm going to say it's probably Mad Elf.
Ching, 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 woo, 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 we got a winner. It is indeed the Mad Elf by Troegs Brewery out of Hershey.
Yeah, I always enjoyed that stuff back when I had a tolerance. I could never get away with that these days. My brother took me to lunch at a place called Floods one time, and all I wanted was buffalo chicken fingers, but he bought me a beer first, and I had a Mad Elf. Now this was years ago when I had a tolerance, but basically I drank one of those on an empty stomach. I was wasted the rest of the day. I tried everything to come back from it. I'm like, well, one beer is not going to hold me down. So now, oh my God, if I were to drink one of those, empty stomach or not, I'd probably have to take a couple days off work.
Are you trying to say don't bring any over as the holidays get nearer?
No, I'm not trying to say that. You know how it is here. You got an open fridge policy. You leave scattered beers here all the time.
Well, I shouldn't say not to bring any or leave them behind, just that you wouldn't want one if offered it.
Oh, no, it'd be, well, you know what?
Special occasion.
Yeah, if it were an actual holiday celebration, then I would just have to drink water as a precursor, and then after I drink it, just drink water the rest of the night, and I might survive.
Well, you know what? This kind of is the beginning of the holiday season, because I'm taking advantage of the fact that the world could use more color, and I'm not. In fact, my neighbors already did it. My neighbors went directly from Halloween lights to Christmas lights. Their Christmas lights have already been lit for like 6 nights.
Huh.
That's a little bit early, but I am planning to put mine up before the week is out. So we are getting an early start to the holidays this year because the Rona needs a little Christmas cheer. So we'll break out the Christmas cheer in the form of the Mad Elf a little earlier than traditional. Maybe I should buy more before it disappears.
What colors are their lights?
They've got mainly inflatables up, more so than a lot of lights.
They're one of those.
Yeah, I actually have planned a more elaborate amount of lighting than I've ever hung up in the past. But I'm also keeping it simple. There's going to be a red and a green segment, and then just a pure white segment. Because last year I got some extra shit that was different colors, and it just kind of it lost the continuity to the whole thing. It was just too much. It was like a bunch of random shit going on, So we're gonna simplify it, but at the same time amp it up a little bit this year.
Wow, you're definitely taking it seriously.
Hey, buddy, I'm not going to quite go all Clark Griswold on it.
I hope not. Be going to the urgent care.
Yeah, right. No, I'm not planning. I'm I'm not hanging any lights up on the fucking roof. I was just up there a month or so back, cleaning out the gutters and hanging off the two-story roof is with a slanted shingled roof is definitely. I mean, for some people it's fucking nothing. I get that, but for me it was.
Oh, what it's like.
Yeah, yeah. It was a little nerve-wracking for my fat ass. I'll tell you that much.
Well, it all makes sense though. You know, you ever see a fat roofer?
Nope. Yeah, yeah, you make a very valid point because if gravity starts taking us the wrong way, we're in a lot of shit.
We don't belong up there.
No, no, not at all.
Our neighbors on my block have their Christmas tree up in the house already.
Oh wow, oh, I wasn't planning on going that far yet.
But they still have their Halloween inflatable on their roof. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm not against that. I mean, 2020 is pretty fucked anyway. We might as well just do what we want.
That is an interesting situation to be in. I got to admit that.
It doesn't. They don't blow it up at night.
Okay, so yeah, so like, if you're driving down the road, you don't literally see a Christmas tree lit up in the living room and Jack Skellington lit up on the roof simultaneously.
No,
Oh, that's too bad.
your neighbor up that way will have a bajillion inflatables out soon if they're not already out.
The last time I drove by, I don't know if they've changed them out yet. There were a lot of dead bodies, even at the nighttime hours. They didn't put them up. But I'm not sure if they're still the Halloween one remnants or the Christmas cycle.
Think about that electric bill.
Oh, good lord. Yeah, I mean, for like the three of you out there listening, man, no shit, a mile up the road from my house, there's this family, and they cover as every square inch of their yard pretty much as they fucking can with inflatables. There's got to be 4 dozen of them, which is more than 50. That's almost 50. I'll say they have more than 50 inflatables for Christmas time. It's crazy.
It looks like a car dealership.
Wacky arm waving inflatable tube man.
Mm. Yeah, year after year, I keep promising to go up when the kids go up, but they pretty much end up having to squeeze it in when they can. But I think that's cool. From what I understand, I've seen some pictures online. It looks cool. I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat, you know.
Absolutely, man. And you know what? It adds a little. I mean, I guess there's a fine line between adding a little cool holiday cheer to your yard and people driving by going, huh? But yeah, I mean, you can probably see their yard from space. Is that fair?
Maybe. I don't know. I've seen some of the stuff in pictures that they say you can see from space, and it's pretty small.
Right, like you have to specifically know what dot you're looking for to be like, oh, that's the Great Wall of China. I know that's supposedly visible from space.
You know what else I always think of? Once all the, this thing, we go through this Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas transition super fast, I feel like.
That's why I'm skipping Thanksgiving, going right to the
I
Christmas.
think for about 6 or 7 years in a row, when I would take my son to at least browse Halloween costumes. Not that we'd put it off till the last minute, but, even third week in October, whatever, second week. You go into one of these all-purpose stores, and they already, they have clearance Halloween stuff on a little table, and then everything else is Christmas already. In October.
Oh, well, yeah, that's not a grand and new thing, but definitely as bad as ever.
You remember when you were a kid and you would try to maybe not you, but most kids at some point would try to sneak a peek once you knew your parents did the shopping.
Oh, of course. I was going to say, what are you about to accuse me of being unnormal about?
No.
You're like, most kids do this, but I don't know about you. Oh, yeah, no, I was a peeper. I peeped at I peeped at the Christmas presents.
I just didn't want to speak for you.
You did that a lot?
Well, it was always in the same place.
Ah.
But I think nowadays it's got to be more challenging for parents because, kids can like pick up their parents' phone and go on Amazon and see what they ordered them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and how dead is the magic of Santa at this point?
That's going to be a house by house thing, man. Because I can tell you, he is alive and well here.
It's gonna. It almost has to probably take work.
We do
to protect Santa for kids these days.
I'll say it not super loud, but there's a kit you can get, and it involves creating fake footprints.
Oh, there's a kit that you get. You know what I thought I heard you say? I thought I heard you say there's a kitten, and I was about to get all excited you were getting the kids a kitten for Christmas. Oh, there's a kit you get. Okay, that's very different.
Did you forget I'm allergic to cats?
Did I forget what?
That I'm allergic to cats.
Oh. Well, I guess temporarily, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't have got one of them really weird hairless fucking cats like Mr. Biggles.
Oh yeah, you know me. Screw the kids. I've been chomping at the bit for a hairless cat since that movie came out.
No, there's certain kinds like our buddy's mom I know got like one of those maybe they don't have them for cats. I know they have the non-hypergenic dogs you can get. There's a couple of weird varieties.
Well, dogs are different. I'm not allergic to dogs. I would still maybe like a hypoallergenic dog, but it's not necessary. But we're gonna be a dog house. The only thing is, first we have to get a handle on these children.
Yeah. Don't get a puppy while you still have a 10, 11-month-old. That'd be a bad choice.
Well, see, a lot of dog lovers would say that if you get a puppy and it grows up with the baby, that they have a stronger bond and they become more protective of the baby. But I'm also not one of these people that's selling dogs or breed the dogs or whatever. So I don't know if any of that could be just as full of hooky as those multivitamins my dad takes.
Yeah, right. All right, so let's take it back. I'm keeping track of this choose your own adventure conversation. You were talking about the kit you get, just the art of keeping Santa Claus alive or not. So you guys are big in favor of that.
As long as possible. Why just ruin something if you don't have to?
The thing that I don't like, I mean, obviously as a kid, your first question is, how can Santa be at the mall and how can Santa be here? And then you get fed the line of, oh, they're Santa's helpers.
That works.
It did kind of work. It worked for a little bit that Santa had sent out his variant of elves out there to do public appearances, I guess. But the thing to me that as an adult I just look at and cringe is when you see Santa Claus portrayed on like TV commercials and stuff. Especially in like a non-pure way. Like, because then you're just slapping everybody with, this is all a bunch of bogus hoopty.
That's one way you can look at it. Another way to look at it might be to say he might be the one folklore character that retained enough of its mysticism that people enjoyed the idea of other people like paying tribute to him by dressing up as him and stuff. If our culture had such a thing, because it's not uniquely American. Remember, a lot of countries.
Oh hell no!
The Anglo countries take that stuff, and I'm sure pretty some of the other countries as well, different regions. So it's not so much how hard people try as parents as how into the mythology the family is and the kids are.
Sure.
Because if you walk around all day with a very dismissive, skeptical attitude about everything, and then all of a sudden at Christmas time, you're selling it real hard, smart kids are going to pick up on that bullshit right away. But if you yourself enjoy it, and it just gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling, and Hallmark Channel and all that stuff, then it's easier to put it over. Santa's over. Santa's always going to be over, dude. Just deal with it.
And that's a good way to put it, man. Santa Claus is a feeling inside of you. I mean, that's why people like Mick Foley still run around idolizing the Jolly Fat Man. I mean, you can Maybe he's unhealthy about it. I'm not so sure. But you're right. I mean, you outgrow thinking Santa Claus is an actual being that comes down your chimney, but he is the spirit of Christmas. Even though the true spirit of Christmas would be Jesus Christ, Santa Claus is a non denominational spirit of the holiday season. Everybody should love Santa Claus. Maybe not the Muslims. I
We
don't
could
know.
do a deep dive one time on the cultural variants of the character known as Santa, because I have been briefed on it and just, you know, falling in the YouTube holes and whatnot, but I don't remember any of that stuff. It was neat at the time to know that, in Indonesia and stuff, kids wait for whatever version of Santa, because you're right, it's a universal idea to have an awesome dude that loves everybody drop presents in your house. You don't have to be religious for that shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, as an example, I know I've recently been introduced to the more specifics of a German Christmas, which is celebrated on December 6th, which is actually the patron St. Nicholas Day, versus December 25th being the traditional Christmas day. So, yeah, there's an example of I would consider Germany still very much a Catholic Christian country, obviously, and they celebrate a very similar version of Christmas. It's just on a different day. Kind of like how, for some reason, in Canada, they all box the fucking day after Christmas. I don't know what that regionalized holiday is all about, but they have it.
Yeah, once you take a couple steps outside of your bubble, there's quite a bit of, well, most cultures come up with some kind of thing that revolves around the rotation of the planet on its axis. So both of your solstices, or like your winter solstice and your summer solstice, there's going to be tens of thousands of years of people celebrating that shit in one way or another. Christmas is really close to the winter solstice, so there's some paganized people that always had, before Jesus supposedly walked the earth, that had a festival of sorts. So it's really just about festivity and, binging a little bit, maybe getting a little fucked up, maybe getting a little ripped, doing some bong rips.
Oh, there you go. I'll stick with sipping on this Mad Elf, and thus far I am simply sipping it because if I were to drink it quickly, this would be an extremely short episode.
So I have to address something real quick while you're sipping.
Okay.
We're wrestling fans, and a big part of us podcasting is because we can't shut the fuck up about wrestling. But last I checked with you, it sounded like, other than skimming for some torrents, that you haven't watched. Not to say you were ever following WWE online and stuff recently, but your viewership's down. No, are you sucked up in the election stuff?
I've certainly watched it. I've watched. Well, I've certainly watched an unhealthy amount of Steve Kornacki over the last several weeks,
Oh,
and I've certainly been very, very predisposed with cable news and whatnot. Absolutely. But I mean, I've never felt that my wrestling viewership in gross hours has gone down at all. I'm just spending more time on the network, watching old stuff, rewatching things that I remember from back in the day. I mean, when you've got 100,000 hours or more in the fucking archives there, I don't got to watch Apollo Crews on Raw or fucking MVP, or I don't even know who's all on Raw these days.
that was weird that you just randomly selected two of the guys who are super over right now and super over gimmick, and they have a major push going on. You're like, here's an example of something that sucks. One of the most over things they have going.
What are they called? The Hurt Business? Is that their group?
Yep. It's Lashley and MVP and Cedric Alexander and help me out with the fourth one.
I bet he's black. Is this the Nation of Domination Part 2?
No, they're like if the Nation of Domination was on Entourage.
Okay.
It's an over gimmick, but I got what you were going for. I understood.
God bless them that they're the centerpieces of Raw these days, but there's just there's so little worth bothering to watch over there. And it's just, while AEW is imperfect, at least it's fun to watch on a week to week basis. At least there's crazy characters doing wild shit. And that makes me some bad stereotype of a wrestling fan, I guess, who actually wants to watch that kind of stuff. But I'll take something that's interesting, if a little silly, over boring, homogenized, repetitive, too long, everything WWE has against it, you know?
Are you watching any of these other feds that have some big names trickling into them lately? Seems like pretty much all of them are trying to up their promotional, like trying to assume that they can be on level playing ground by how much they push their TV shows and stuff. I'm just blessed to have randomly selected a sling package where some of the channels get other wrestling.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, are you talking like? I'm thinking you're probably talking Ring of Honor, because I do believe you get that, and I don't.
Ring of Honor, Impact, MLW, New Japan, All Japan, any of that stuff. You're still pretty much where you were at before with that stuff too, right?
Yeah, I've
No NWA or anything.
nope. Literally the only current product I'm sticking halfway up with is AEW. But like I said when we were talking earlier this afternoon, WWE Network drops a documentary on Paul Bearer as part of the Undertaker celebration for his 30th anniversary, and I get like jump up and down excited. I knew what time it premiered. I've become what a lot of wrestling fans eventually evolve into, which is the shit I watched was good. Now it all sucks. It doesn't all suck now, and it doesn't suck for the same reasons. I don't want to take anything away from what they do in the ring. The between the ropes action, even in WWE, is better than it's ever been. But that's not the be all and end all of what makes pro wrestling fun to watch. And if you don't have the color and the flash and the crazy stories around the good wrestling, it's all pretty fucking bland. And I can't believe WWE has slipped into that world, but they have. It's one man's opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody wants some degree of. It's kind of like even with porn, there has to be. You can't just cut right to two people having a marathon. You got to at least be. Oh, I heard your electrical needed some fixing. So I get that, and I do enjoy what AEW is doing story building. I think they have the potential to be much more creative than WWE because AEW has characters which can evolve and change and get swapped out, and gimmicks go in and then they go out. WWE creates brands, so
Yeah.
so you become this line of product of theirs, and they've got the Fiend for if you're feeling creepy, and not that there's anything wrong with, like you said, what they do now wrestling wise. But one thing I don't like about AEW's narrative stuff is like, I'll just single out the Young Bucks. Why do I have to watch a completely unaffiliated, separate web series for what you're doing on AEW TV to make any fucking sense? I'm not a fan.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I'm not watching the online shows. I'm not even watching Dark, really. I try to catch Dynamite every week, Watch the pay-per-views. I'm one up on you on Full Gear. Obviously, I didn't give you the most glowing of review of it as a whole to go out of your way to watch the thing, but it had some highlights,
Made me happy I didn't spend $50 on it.
We had a pretty good time that night anyway, because what were we doing on Saturday in lieu of watching the pay-per-view? Celebrating the election of Joseph R. Biden as the 46th President of the United States of America.
That's right. With my dad, who probably needed that win more than Biden did. Admit it. Admit it. There are not just throwing him under the bus, but there's people out there who were either at the breaking point or, you can see the steam coming out.
Dude, America had a 5-day long case of fucking blue balls waiting for the election to finally get called. I mean, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. I mean, I enjoyed, because I was watching MSNBC that morning. Surprise, surprise. They had Morning Joe working overtime. He was doing an extra special Saturday shift, because it's like they knew that the moment was fast arriving. And then the moment arrived and the fucking bubbly was broken out. Woo!
That's the other thing I don't like about some of the stuff with current guys is they get these big social media accounts that is like this totally separate thing from their whole gimmick and whatnot. And I don't want to know these people's politics. I don't want to know which wrestlers are going to be grumpy because Trump lost and all that shit. I don't want to know that. I don't care. I'm not going to undersell it. I feel 1,000,000 times better than I have for a few years. I'm chill. I'm not nearly as cynical. I think there's a lot of people who are enjoying the victory lap, but like you said, for it to have been dragged out, I mean, yes, some of it was necessary to make sure they counted everything, but as far as getting to the point of no return, and then, I went to bed, I think, 2 nights in a row thinking, man, I should have known the outcome before I went to sleep tonight. Like you don't, that's one thing you don't want a cliffhanger ending on. And I would have rather been watching any kind of wrestling. Because now I feel like not just me and you, but like social media and just whatever screen time you have every day, I feel like so relieved that I can finally pivot away and stop giving up whatever chunk of my day that was to go online and see what's happening. I can just back down and enjoy it.
So I guess, did you, the other day when AEW announced these games, because you had more details than me at the beginning, did you watch the whole introduction press conference gimmick that they did?
Well, I marked out for the whole concept. And when they told me to follow their new YouTube channel or page or whatever, I did it right away. So I started getting a little, teaser stuff. And then, of course, on Twitter, some of the, Kenny Omega and Cody were, letting out little things here and there. And they all seem, really, even the guys that aren't pushing the game seem to be enjoying the whole. I mean, think about it. For them, just in the space of a couple of years, they now have sick, they get everything a person thinks about. They have their own action figures. They're going to get their own video game, and they might play it smart and not try to branch out and stretch it out too much. I don't think MJF is going to be in the Navy SEAL 5 or whatever.
The Marine 12.
So, yeah, I was going with the non-copyrighted version, but you know what I mean.
Hey, who needs copyrights?
It's cool that they not only announced it, but they made they celebrated it. They were super pumped. What's her face, the female ref, Aubrey?
Yeah.
Her and Kenny and I think Britt Baker and somebody else were all dressed as Steve Jobs.
Oh my God!
For the unveiling, so they all wore like black T-shirts tucked into stonewashed jeans.
Oh my God, that's funny.
It was great. Yeah, and that's what I mean.
I did not see any of that.
They entertain to the point of you always get a few extra drips out of them.
We're gonna poke a little fun at this grand unveiling kind of event.
But from what I saw in the games, I will play all 3 of them at least once.
Well, here's what I gathered. So I had heard they said they wanted to do a GM mode. I assumed the GM mode would have been a part of their wrestling video game, but I guess what's happening is there's going to be an actual in the ring wrestling game that'll be on the consoles, PS4, Xbox One, and the next gen. And then the GM mode is a mobile game, correct? A separate mobile game.
That's definitely true. Although I don't know if the console version also has GM mode. I didn't really read into that.
True enough. There's a small chance it exists there, but I'm gonna take it that it's existing as its own thing. But fingers crossed then that it's in the game proper. And then we've got the promotional tie-in known as AEW Double or Nothing Poker on your mobile device.
Oh, is it just poker? I thought it was like a whole gambling thing.
I believe it's simply called Double or Nothing Poker. Because I saw like the promo shot of it. It had the title and it had a picture of Moxley. Maybe there's more to it than just poker. I could be mistaken, but either way, a casino game, Double or Nothing, AEW gambling version.
Tony Khan just has it in his head that he's like, man, wrestling fans really love poker chips. I'm gonna keep milking this thing.
Dude, you know, yeah, they really do love that casino fucking tie-in, don't they? Yeah, but I get a little worried though if AEW starts jumping on all the trendy game bandwagons. How long will it be before there's like some cheesy AEW Match 4 puzzle game out there where you get like 3 oranges in a row and Pockets pops up and clears the board, you know?
You're going to see Marco Stunt pop up in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Actual size.
He's a midget. No, that's Marco Stunt. Oh my God. I wonder if he'll be in the I mean, obviously of all these games, you know, the 2 mobile games are neat for what they are, but what we really care about is the meat and potatoes of the console in-ring game. And I'm sure Marco Stunt will be in it. I mean, we saw, what did they have, about fucking a minute of game footage? You know, you got just the smallest taste of it.
Well, and remember, people were hating on Battleground when they showed us the preview because they were shitting on the graphics. So I think it still will probably come out cleaner when they're done with it than it looked in the trailer.
Oh, I believe that wholeheartedly. However, I would also like to add that having bought and played Battlegrounds, it's still not that good of a game. Even for what they're going for, it doesn't quite hit the mark. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But the options, good Lord, man, the options. I mean, I don't know if either one of these. It's not just AEW. Have you heard about any of the other wrestling games that are in development out there?
No, and I'm still a little pissed off, to be honest with you, that I never mastered the controls on Fire Pro Wrestling. That kind of itches my jock a little.
That game was hard, man. I never got the handle of it either. That's why. Do you still have that disc, by the way?
Yeah, it's chilling in the PlayStation zone.
Yeah. You know, I'll always give a wrestling game a try, but man, I couldn't get the feel of that at all. I'm sure AEW will be better than that.
Oh, dude. I popped when I saw that this famous developer guy was going to be at the helm here.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
He did No Mercy. He did, what was it? WCW, NWO Revenge would have been around the same time, right?
Yeah. The Def Jam games. Yeah, the guys who made all those legendary N64 wrestling games that we all still fucking hold the highest of regard.
Did they do WrestleMania 2000?
Sure. Yeah, that whole series.
That was the only one on 64 that I ever got semi-competent at. And that was because at that time I knew somebody who lived right down the street that had an N64, and we would play that pretty much. But yeah, if it's anything up that alley, I'm gonna. I think I might start doing things a little differently. I think I'll get that one on disc.
Hell, maybe that'll, if it looks some mind-bogglingly much better, maybe that'll end up being my killer app for PS5 in 6 months or so, or a year, or whenever it comes out. As I mean, at this moment, there ain't nothing could convince me even remotely to get a PS5. By that note, have you logged into your PS4 today?
The kids have. I have not. I'm going to do that when we're done.
There is already a PS4 upgrade that references linking it to the PS5.
I know I'm not getting one this year.
Oh fuck no! There's nothing to get it for.
I've bought 2 versions of the PS4 already. I bought it right when it came out, and then just last year I got the PS4 Pro that came with. It was the Modern Warfare edition. First of all, I don't get enough use out of my PS4. I'm glad the kids do. I'm glad, um, you know, there's enough storage on there that pretty much everybody can keep their stuff in place. But I'll have a little refuge from doing all the stuff around here, running the show, and helping run the show, I should say. Man, can you imagine if my wife heard heard me saying that I run the show?
It sounded perfectly right to me, and not meaning that you're running the show, but whoever's in charge in a given moment. I mean, when your wife's not home, you're in charge.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're running the show plenty of times with all them fucking children running around, buddy. Don't you worry. You hit the nail on the head. You're forgiven.
Do you have a favorite overall across all platforms? All time?
Every favorite wrestling game.
Not a clear winner.
That would be so hard. I mean, because I mean, for as great as No Mercy was in their day, I mean, Day of Reckoning on GameCube was really great because that was an even more spiffed up version of that same engine. That one wasn't as popular as No Mercy. The GameCube wasn't a real popular system, so some of those games kind of got lost to time. The GameCube WWE games were great, though. I think they might have hit the true sweet spot.
I liked whatever one I played with you, but it was only like one time. Well, so my favorite wrestling game would probably have to be, I would just not bullshit and say without specifying, one of the early PS2 titles where they had the really in-depth Creative Wrestler mode.
Oh, what was the one you had? Here Comes the Pain, maybe? The original SmackDown series.
I had, I don't know, Brock Lesnar was on the front of mine.
Yeah, I think that was Here Comes the Pain. Those PS2 ones were spectacular. So real quick here, these new games that apparently you're unaware of, that are both coming out within the next year or so. We have Retromania Wrestling, which is the spiritual successor to WWF WrestleFest.
Oh, man.
Does that ring a bell? Have you seen anything about that game being in development? Because that's been floating around the internet for a couple years now.
I mark out for WrestleFest, though.
Well, it is definitely down that alley. It's coming out presumably this year. It has a very weird roster of licensed characters, including the BWO, Colt Cabana, the Legion of Doom, Jeff Cobb, Tommy Dreamer, Johnny Nitro, called Johnny Retro in the game, and just because Nikita Koloff, it looks fun, it's total arcade style in that regard. I have no idea where they got their fucking roster from.
So it's just going to be like a rehash of that engine?
Yes, it's very similar to that engine. Almost a total redo.
That's cool and not cool.
Sure. I think it's already been revealed it's going to be like a $20 discount game, so it'll probably be worth checking out when they put it together. But this next one I just heard about yesterday while looking up info on the AEW game. Check this shit out, Mike. By indie gaming company Virtual Basement. It is called The Wrestling Code. It is going to be a 3D grappler built from the ground up with a completely unique engine. Good luck for them. This game features an absurd random-ass list of real-life pro wrestlers. It's got several dozen indie guys, most of whom I don't know. It has got the following former WWE superstars: EC3, Crime Time, The Ascension, Enzo, Matt Morgan, and I'm not really sure how they're going to figure out a way to fucking animate and grapple and represent a one-legged wrestler But Mr. Zach Gowen is signed to appear in this fucking random new wrestling game.
Okay, so they're just like scooping up everybody whose likenesses aren't owned by McMahon at this point.
Kinda, sorta. Still a very weird selection.
Well, the guy from Crime Time died, didn't he?
That's true. Shad, trying to rescue his son. Good point, man. I hadn't thought of that, but they're both listed as being in the game.
I love how I anonymously said the guy from Crime Time died, didn't he? As though it was the first time it's ever come up. I think we talked about that at length on it.
I think we did, but it didn't occur to me when mentioning that they were in the game one iota. Yeah, that didn't occur to me.
The Ascension, wow. That's probably the best example that I always think of when you talk about people skyrocketing out of NXT and then just falling completely flat when they get called up.
Yeah, they were a very cool team. They had so much potential, but once the old man McMahon got his hands on them, it was over.
Well, that's why wrestling video games are fun, though, because even if somebody didn't get as over as they should have, if they have a cool move set, it's like, fuck it, this will be still awesome.
True enough. Okay, so we have a few more here. This is an interesting part of the list because odds are good that some of these guys could appear in the AEW game upcoming. We have Jeff Cobb, Brian Cage, and Brian Pillman Jr. Pardon?
Sweet.
We have remaining.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
We gotta get a soundboard because every time one of us goes off script with our bodily functions, I think it deserves special attention.
As opposed to just letting the bodily function create its own soundboard.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be some holier than thou. Fifth Avenue podcast, we can have a soundboard.
Well,
just nothing that's going to get us in trouble with the all-seeing eye.
Yeah, well, we'll see what we can put together.
Like, nobody's going to rat us out, dude.
No, we only got ratted out for playing 10 seconds of a copyrighted song.
Oh, speaking of which, I don't want to turn this into a whole side thing, but before I forget, I read something really crazy today that, if I read it correctly, it looks like Twitch was telling all their streamers that if they play recorded music in any of their streams or their past recorded streams, they have to get rid of them immediately.
Uh-oh. The Record Man lawyers are circling to the Twitch.
I'm sure that in a couple weeks that'll be a topic for half an episode.
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably. Okay. So there are 4 legitimate wrestling legends who are going to be in the Wrestling Code by Virtual Basement. No word when the game will be out. I'll assume a good long time yet. We have got Ken Shamrock.
Okay. He's in the Hall of Fame.
He's what?
He's in the Hall of Fame.
No, he is not. No. WWE Hall of Fame? Yeah, no.
No, he's in the Impact Hall of Fame. He just got inducted last weekend at Bound for Glory.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Rock did a promo for that gimmick, I heard.
Not only did The Rock do a promo for that gimmick, you better Google that shit. He had a couple nice cameos. I mean, The Rock is the big one, obviously.
I can't believe that worked, because I had heard that Ken had reached out to The Rock about it. I saw that as a piece, and son of a bitch if Dwayne didn't make through. Good for that guy right there, man. He's so cool.
He didn't just record a quick, hey, congrats, Ken. He, talked about how Shamrock was good to him as he was starting out in the business and how he learned from him and stuff. It was genuine. It was cool.
Dude, he was, dude. Think about this. A very memorable moment from that era. I mean, The Rock and Shamrock did wrestle a lot. But do you remember that time that Shamrock took a fucking chair straight to the face from The Rock when he was, half sitting up? Oh, yeah, they had a big fucking rivalry. So that's very cool. I'm going to have to go check that out. Good for Dwayne. Good for Ken Shamrock. He's,
Who else we got? Who else is in there?
He's had quite the career. Oh, the last 3. We have an ECW triumvirate representing RVD.
ECW.
Yeah, there we go. RVD, Raven, and the Sandman will all be in this game.
Wow, that's awesome. Those are good choices.
Dude, if they can do something interesting with the gameplay that doesn't suck, Any wrestling game that's something a little different from the worn out WWE series is a good thing. So,
Well, apparently, except for Fire Pro Wrestling, which is just too fucking hard.
yeah, well, there are people who are decades deep into loving that series, and obviously they thought, probably correctly, that there was enough of a fan base to bring it over here. But yeah, for some of us, it's just like, nah, not my cup of tea. Doesn't work for me,
Yeah,
bro.
kind of the same way you and I would fare trying to, go somewhere where they drive on the other side of the road. It's like, well, I know how to drive a car, but for some reason I'm in the ditch.
Dude, when I was in England, I was fucking petrified because you just felt weird riding in the wrong lane. I mean, I never tried to drive on the wrong side, but just riding in the car, everything feels fucking creepy and weird.
Well, that's a good place to have that happen to you, though, because people over there are pretty nice. They're pretty, top of the like if I had gotten to a fender bender
top
England,
of the morning to you, really? What, people in England are fucking leprechauns now? Whoa!
But imagine having
You're gonna
time,
steal the Queen's Lucky Charms.
Aren't their cars all smaller over there?
Yeah, I guess generally as a rule they do like.
Well, you
minis.
don't see fucking F-250s blowing up and down neighborhoods.
Yeah. Nobody buys a fucking Hummer just because. Yeah, no.
Okay.
True enough.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. That'd be a good place to learn, because you don't want to go to some of these scary, South American countries where you got to drive on a one-lane road on the mountain and the fucking driver's side is on the right and all this shit. England, man, I got into a fender bender with somebody. I'd probably just sit there and sheepishly wave at him like Mr. Bean. Get as much pathetic tourist points as I could. Just don't want to get pulled over by the British police.
Oh, the Bobby will come after you.
Can I ask you a fun question? We were talking about wrestling games, and I was talking about, we were also talking earlier, trying to give a little bit of credit where credit's due on the in between the ropes stuff. And I'm sure it's true for you too, because we play each other in a lot of games. But one of the best things about a wrestling game is just hitting the fucking moves and seeing what they've done with the moves and, how far they can take it with the moves and everything. And I was, I'm not like you. I don't have the 2K stuff. I just can't wait to, plug one of these new ones in and powerbomb somebody. And my question was going to be, who do you think, either the way it shows up in a wrestling game or the way it's done in real life or both, who do you think had the greatest powerbomb of all time?
Who do I think had the greatest powerbomb of all time?
And we're gonna limit it to actual power bombs. We're not gonna do these ridiculously over modified one-legged angel type shits. Like you get the guy in a standing head scissors, and then you lift them up and power bomb him.
Well, I mean, there's a handful of the most famous ones. Well, I would have to say my official vote, I guess, will actually go to Kevin Nash for the old jackknife.
Nice.
Honorable mention to Vader, because Vader actually broke some people's back with his fucking power bomb. Whether that makes it good or not, makes it devastating and stiff. But yeah, I'll say Nash. He always had really good flair when he dropped the guy. Like, he'd usually drop him and, like, throw his arms out like he was really fucking forcing him down. So, especially when he was Diesel, not counting that time he dropped the giant on his head and broke his neck.
Oh, yeah. So you're going jackknife, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only guys I can only, other than the two I named, I mean, Sid, I'm trying hard to think of anyone else who does, regularly did what I would consider a traditional power bomb. Can you think of any?
For the one that I think was the best?
Yeah, or just even other people who did it outside of just mentioning Vader, Sid, and Nash.
Well, I mean, I'm like you. I'm big on Nash's jackknife. I always thought that was a cool thing to see because of how fucking tall he is. But that's always been my favorite move. So that's why I picked that move. I like a lot of the moves, but the power bomb, to me, if somebody can do a cool power bomb, that's just peak pro wrestling. So I really wouldn't try to say, oh, this person's power bomb that you never really thought about. This is better than what Sid does. I will say the Last Ride was really fucking brutal looking the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I guess that's a traditional power bomb. Did you ever see or hear of, I believe it was WCW Wrestle War 1991 during a War Games, where Sid went to give Brian Pillman the power bomb inside of like that short little 8-foot tall cage? And because he hit the cage on the way up, Sid fucked it all up and just about crushed his neck like an accordion on the way back down. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. You should check that one out.
That's almost as bad as Nash trying to jackknife the Giant.
It didn't go well. Or Sid trying to jump off the second rope also didn't go well.
Oh, come on, that's not fair. You were saying Sid's name and you just got the impulse right away and you couldn't
I couldn't help myself. When your last memory in the wrestling business, generally speaking, I know we did a couple pop-ons after that, but when your last memory is Joe Theismanning your ankle live on pay-per-view, it's a hell of a bad way to go out.
I thought that was like a Nitro or something.
And I think it was pay-per-view. I think it was on Sin, a 2001 pay-per-view called Sin.
Wow.
See, that's where I come in handy. I've got this fucking Wikipedia encyclopedia in my head. I can pull crap like that out of it on a whim.
I have actual Wikipedia.
Well, I mean, I don't even have to look it up. I'm pulling this straight from the old, what's left of my gray matter.
I was going to say, I look shit up all the time. My brain's taken so much abuse. Not just the material kind, but also the metaphysical kind.
Yeah.
That I can't remember shit. I will pour myself a drink of water, set it down, walk into another room, do a task, and then I'll come back and pour myself another glass of water, and then I'll be walking around and I'll see my first glass of water, and I'll be like,
well, it happens to all of us.
Maybe I got powerbombed too many times.
Well, hey, in the backyard wrestling days, buddy, we both took a few shots to the fucking head, did we not?
Oh, so embarrassing. Although, since you mentioned Sid in backyard wrestling, did you see that guy who during his entrance? Oh man, he looked like them fucking aliens from that Charlie Sheen movie when they run away.
And the correct answer is no, I haven't actually seen it, but your mere mention of it and me knowing what you're talking about brought that reaction from me. Yeah, well, this homie's legs pretty much went inside out on himself, jumping off something.
Both of his knees completely gave as soon as his feet hit the ground.
To the sides or to the backward?
No, like bending the wrong way.
Oh, man.
Two compound fractures. In fact, I haven't checked on him in a little bit, but I know a few guys in the business went in on, trying to donate to his medical bills, but I think I read something right when it first happened that they weren't sure, but they thought they might have to amputate. And I was like, ooh, could you imagine just doing your ring entrance and then all of a sudden there's people talking about cutting your legs off? He didn't do some crazy coup de grace or something. He put his arms up, posing for the crowd, and then he turned the top half of his body, and then he jumped and turned the bottom half of his body, fell maybe a foot and a half, and then boom, both of his legs just snapped. You haven't seen this shit?
No, I haven't. Now that you describe it better, fuck, I could have done that without injury.
Oh man, it's rough. But anyway, can I throw out the socials real quick before we bounce? So I wanted to, importantly, because we know people on Twitter and we follow other podcasts on Twitter and people follow us and they stay tuned via Twitter. I noticed we had a bunch of like an uptick in followers. So Twitter's like the main thing right now. Which, for those of you that don't know, our handle is at Shoedogg M, because character limits. And we are just so lucky to have a bunch of cool people that already follow us and that we interact with. And that's kind of where we hang out. We also have a Facebook page that I kind of recently reincarnated and tweaked a little bit. It's in incubation period right now. But Facebook and Twitter are, the same kind Steady. They're always there. For keeping in touch and sending messages. We like comments. We like emails. Our email is all over both of those pages. And then obviously to listen, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, we are streaming. Spotify Premium. So for people who don't have like a subscription and they want to hear the whole show without commercials, I think there's a way you can do that with Stitcher.
Wait a minute, you mean they're playing commercials during our fucking show and we're not seeing a penny for it?
Ha! Could you imagine?
Those fucking Spotify dicks. Ah, damn, we just got banned from something
I
else.
I didn't say it was them specifically. Oh my god.
I will not have anybody make 1/10 of 1 cent off of our hard work.
If you're on any free platforms and your video or audio or whatever is longer than a few minutes, they're going to throw ads in there, dude.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It is funny and awkward hearing ads pop up on podcasts at just completely random ass points. It definitely adds a little bit to ruining the production.
And hey, who knows? Maybe after the holiday season brings us good tidings, people might start getting used to the idea of seeing some Shoedogg and Mike podcast ads out there. It's definitely something that I've been cooking up kind of undercover here for a little bit.
All right, so should we put a bow on this one?
Yeah, I think so. I'm ready for bed. I'm ready for a snack in bed.
Amen. And I'm ready for a piss. So, on that note, thanks for listening, everybody. We had a good time tonight. And remember, as always, if you have an hour to waste, go ahead and waste it with us.